Hey everybody, welcome to etrailer.com. I'm Bobby, and today we're taking a look at the Untitled Rack's destination 4-bike rack carrier here on our 2022 Kia Telluride. So if you guys are looking for a way of carrying a lot of bikes to your trailhead, but you're not quite liking those hanging style racks out there, highly recommend this here, Untitled Rack's destination 4-bike rack carrier. And why that is, obviously getting 4 bikes on here, which is great, and we're avoiding all that hassle that a hanging bike style might ensue. And what I mean by that are bikes walking into each other, scuffing their paint, getting their frames all tangled up. Don't have to worry about that. Our wheels not going to be bouncing all around. They're going to be nice and secured here by our Untitled Rack. So it's not the prettiest rack out there, I'll give you that. However, I think you're going to become a bigger fan of it, just like we have, as you can see how well these straps actually do of actually securing your bike and therefore making a better system overall. Now, one thing I will say to it, does take just a little bit more time maybe to get your bikes in place. That is because there are a lot of straps to tie down, just as we mentioned, but overall still a very really nice system here. Now, a couple things we do have to get out of the gate. We are going to have a 35-pound weight capacity here for each one of our bikes, which is going to make it excellent for most of your standard bikes, which is great. However, if you are starting to get in some of those bigger mountain bikes, especially e-bikes, those are going to be pushing it just a little too far. Probably not going to be great in that regards. And if you do have any carbon frame bikes, you can see here we do have a frame hold on our bikes, and unfortunately this can end up warping and deteriorating those carbon frame bikes, and therefore we do not recommend it for the carbon frame. And if you do have any women's bikes, step-through bikes, or kids bikes, you might have a slight little issue just because of the center frame. Now, the one thing to that though, it is a very versatile center frame hold. These cradles have 360 degrees of rotation, so as long as you have the necessary bar to actually get down to it, you'll have an A-OK time. So even things like those step-through bikes sometimes can just drop this really low, clamp on right here, and of course we have a vertical, horizontal, diagonal. No matter what kind of frame we have, our cradle hopefully is going to be able to adhere to it, which is great. Now the inside of that cradle just has a little bit of rubber padding to protect your frame. And on each of our straps, we're going to have these nice little rubber grommets, making sure, or holders, I guess I should say, that's going to make an excellent job making sure we're not biting into that frame or those rims and causing any kind of scuffs or damage, which is great. Taking a look here on our Telluride and seeing how it's interacting, though, from the very back, I can see that we're not interacting with our taillights too badly. Now, as we get 4 bikes on here, you're definitely going to start seeing an impact on these lower settings. Now, of course, we do have our top cowling, which is great, alerting people when we want to brake, and we have very good distance here between our bikes. So I think the emittance of that light is still going to be seen. We're still going to be safe. And kind of talking a little bit more to that safety and talking about being seen, we do have those little reflectors right on the end of the carrier. I just love pointing those out because I don't think they're standard enough across a lot of the bike racks out there, and it's just nice to let people know exactly where us and our family is. That way everybody gets home safe. Well, it's not going to take me too much time to actually get this bike off. To do that, all I have to do is walk up to our levers here that are holding it in. This strap is going to have an extra little eye hole, making it easier to really cinch it down, which is great, especially if your hands are cold or wet. And I'm just going to repeat that process on the other side. One thing I like about these strips too, pretty easy to like kind of flip around, and then they're not so much in your way. Now that's a little bit more helpful when you do want to mount your bike, but it's still there. Now that does bring us to our last hold on our bike. Let's make sure we're doing a good job not letting it tilt into our vehicle or fall down. Otherwise, what I find, you can kind of bring your other hand across, press on that lever, and then bring that out. It just makes it sometimes a little easier rather than kind of pinching it getting caught. So then I can just drop that. Now my bike is free. Again, we can grab it and walk it off. Now this regard though, if you have a heavier bike, might be a little hard for your back. Just bring yourself to the side of your carrier and then dismount it. So as you saw, those straps getting pushed to the side can be very helpful. Otherwise, you might just have a little bit of a harder time getting your bike in place, but it doesn't really take too much time to walk that down. Now, one feature that you're not seeing on this carrier that you might start seeing on some of the other premium carriers here at Utrailer.com is the ability to actually tilt this down and away from your vehicle. The only way to actually access your hatch here is to come up to our speed knob on the side of our center mast, pull up that cam lever, get this set down to the side, and now we can actually open up this hatch here. Now that's going to give us access, which is great. Makes things really quick and easy if we need them to, especially if we're at the trailhead. Now I can get in here, get those coolers, bike helmets, anything else I might have on the inside here. Not as great for your gas station stops and those errand runs. And at that point, you're starting to look at some of your other premium carriers that can actually tilt away. But for 4 bikes, that definitely starts getting harder and harder to do. So that's kind of the pros and cons that we're working with. Well, one thing I like to do too with that center mass is just to secure it with our extra strap here. And later on, we're going to see why that's so important. But all I like to do, loop that through, give it a nice little pull, and that way my center mass is going nowhere. It can hang right there and won't be interacting with the back of my vehicle. Now, talking about how we're interacting with our vehicle, let's go ahead and see some dimensions here on our Telluride. The big one is going to be our clearance. How is it sitting here in our hitch today? Well, our wings are our lowest sitting point on our carrier, and at the furthest position of our carrier, that's putting us at 19.5 inches to the underside there. So definitely something we want to watch. If you find yourself approaching a very steep incline, because we're so far from the back of the vehicle, I might take it just a little bit easier, especially because we have the 4 bikes on there. Let's make sure we're not having any bad interaction with the carrier. And what I mean by that, as those front wheels go up, the back will go down, and so will your hitch mounted accessories. So again, very steep inclines, take it nice and slow, but otherwise, I don't think we're going to have any issue at all, which is great. Well, let's see how much length we're actually adding on to our Telluride already, somewhat of a longer vehicle. So from the back of the bumper here today to the very end of our carrier, that is putting us at 39.75 of an inch, almost to 40 inches there. However, that is a lot of length. You got to keep in mind, we got 4 bikes on here, which is great, and we do have a way of shortening it down. Here in the inner assembly, we have a retainment clip we need to pop. Once that's been removed, we have a little speed knob on the other side. And just speed that guy off, walk it out. Safety cable is going to allow it to dangle, which is great. If you're a little like me and forgetful, it'll still be right there. And then we can just walk it up. Now, you're not going to walk it all the way in. You're going to have kind of this middle point that you need to find, really easy to see with your eyes. Reinsert that knob, and now just tighten it up all the way. So I do like how this guy works. It takes just a little bit of time, but it can do a great job of eliminating the shake and play that you're going to have in this position as well. It's not going to eliminate all of it, but it does go a long way. So we can tighten that up. Of course, if I was really worried about hearing any kind of jostle, I might give it a few more turns, but as it stands, it still does a great job. You can see not too much movement in this position, a little bit, yes, but I don't think anything that's going to be generating excessive noise, which is great to see. So moving our way down to the inside, though, you can see we do have a 2-inch shank here today, held in, of course, by our 2-inch hitch receiver. On the inside of that, we have an anti-rattle threaded hitch bolt. Now, those guys are pretty standard across the industry, but you still love to see them because they're taking all that shake and play that we naturally have, right, with our carrier kind of moving independently and removing that. Now we're bringing it into line with our frame of our vehicle, and as I shake this, you can see it's actually moving our whole Telluride here, taking out that independent system and making it easier for ourselves, or a nicer, smoother ride for ourselves, especially for our carrier and our bikes in tandem, which is great. So love to see how that works. On the N2, you are seeing a locking core. That's going to make sure that your carrier stays attached to your vehicle when you leave it unattended. And one thing I'd also suggest, maybe a cable lock for this guy can go a long way, especially because you're going to have 4 bikes on here that you want to secure, and we definitely want to have them ready to go the next time we want to ride. Overall, the Telluride's destination is a great little bike rack. Here in this position, you're definitely going to lose a lot of that visibility, especially in that backup camera. What's great, though, not interacting with that rear window. Love to see that. Still getting full visibility. I think it's going to be very easy for us to actually see where we're going to go. Of course, though, we do have that backup camera to kind of keep in mind, but that's almost something you're going to lose with any carrier out there. So it's kind of a wash at that regard. Overall, really do like this system. It's hard to beat the 4-bike platform carrier, especially at the price point that it's at. I know that's probably what I would look at for 4 bikes. If you are looking for something a little bit more bells and whistles, so you could jump all the way to the Kuat Envy, I guess. But one that you might want to look at, it's only like a 3-bike platform, is going to be the Rocky Mounts monorail system with a bike add-on. That can be kind of a great way if you're kind of like, I don't need 4, I need 3 with me or so. That can be a nice little option. And then hanging style racks are probably going to be your best bet for getting all 4 bikes here in the back of your vehicle. But I think that's why I like this guy. It's offering all those advantages that we don't, or all those advantages that you then don't get with those hanging styles. So really do like the Telluride racks here. Otherwise, though, I think that about does it for our look here today at the Telluride's destination 4-bike rack carrier here on our 2022 Kia Telluride. I'm Bobby. Thank you for watching.
Now we're going to go ahead and take it on our test course. First, we'll start with the slaloms. This is going to show the side-to-side action. It's kind of going to mimic the movements that you'll see whenever you're driving down the road normally. Now we'll have the alternating speed bumps. This is going to be more so like the uneven roads and some of that uneven terrain you might be traveling on, and see how it holds up.